for joining the webinar, especially in a day that is super sunny, at least here in Buckinghamshire. So we really appreciate your interest in Canadian solar and particularly in the EP Cube. So my name is Luca, and I'm the sales manager for energy storage in UK. Alongside with my colleague Roy, which is the engineer and technical support for Energy Storage UK, we will present you both the EP Cube and the design tool. So just a few information. All participants now are muted and in listening mode, and the session will be recorded and emailed to all participants. So don't worry if you're joined a little bit late or if you lost anything, everything will be recorded. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session. To ask questions, you can use the Q&A window that is separate from the chat. And if you wish to ask a question like in an anonymous way, you can configure it by checking the corresponding box. You just need to flag send anonymously, and your question will be anonymous. So we'll start the webinar just talking about our mission, the mission in Canadian Solar that star that guide us every day, is to try to power the world with solar energy and create better, clean air for our son, for our future generations. Just an overview, a quick overview of the EMEA site. Our EMEA headquarters in Munich. We have over 150 employees of 50 different nationalities. And in 2024, last year, we realized shipment to over 90 countries. We have 4 offices and 3 warehouses in all EMEA. And we are based on S&P Global Community Insight. We are among the 5 top module suppliers. So just a quick overview of our product and application portfolio. So you have the modules, of course, the inverters, the string inverters, the EP Cube, which will be the focus of today, and then Q-Bank and SolBank for CNI and utility applications. As I said, residential panel and EP Cube, CNI, string inverters, Q-Bank, and of course panels and utility. You have the bigger inverters and the SolBank, and of course the panels. So that's a picture of us at the Intersolar this year. As you can see, big team, and was a really great success. The Intersolar this year. A lot of people, a lot of contact. And now if you go a little bit deeper on the EP Cube, we have a global presence in EMEA. You see installation in Italy, Germany, UK, Spain and Portugal, and South Africa. So what is the EP Cube? It's our all-in-one system. And what are the key strengths? So is only one that can adapt to a new or existing installation. There is no need for extra equipment. We are really customer oriented. As I say, Roy is based in UK and can support with every installation or if there is any need after the installation for support. And another key factor is the future ready app, which is extremely easy to use and user friendly. So what are the main features of the EP Cube? Is only one, as you can see, is a really compact design, flexible, quick and easy to install. You can install it in half an hour, compatible with everything, and like we offer top of the market safety and warranty. Is an all-in-one solution that with a single phase hybrid inverter and lithium ferrophosphate battery modules is stackable and plug and play. How the EP Cube is structured, like you have the inverter and the BMU on top and the batteries down and the base. Each battery module is 5 kilowatt hour and is light, less than 42 kilograms. So for one person, is easy to transport, handle it, and install it. These are the various configuration of the AP Cube. So you have the smallest one, 5 kilowatt hour. Then you have the standard size for residential here in UK, more or less, which is 10 kilowatt hour with two modules. Then the bigger one with 15 kilowatt hour, three modules, and the biggest one that we have for the single phase, 20 kilowatt hour with four modules. Can be installed indoor and outdoor, and on the floor and on the wall, even if in the UK 99% of installation are on the floor. As you see, one of the key points of the AP Cube is that it's really small. For 10 kilowatt hour in 111 centimeters, you can have everything. And the maximum 20 kilowatt hour is only 164 centimeters. So less is better, really small, but big in performance. As I said, incredibly flexible, can be DC coupled, AC coupled, or DC-AC coupled if you have existing installations. Compatible with all the newer existing PV installations, optimizer and microinverters, EV chargers, and all the other power modules. Um, just a quick dive deep on the safety. So we have live phosphate batteries, cobalt free. With the batteries are IP67. If you came to the Intersolar or to the Solar and Storage Live last year, you could see the AP Cube was immersed in water. So that's how we don't suggest to mount it in a pool, but you can see how resilient it was and meet the UL 9540 test performance criteria, which is a US certification, extremely difficult to get. We give it with a 10-year warranty or a 6,000 cycle at 80% of initial capacity. The DOD is 0%, and so you can discharge the battery completely. And one cycle is from 100 to 0. That's a full cycle, so it's really good warranty with a long lifespan. The cells, so they operate from minus 20 to 50 degree and provide a really stable energy supply in winter. Even in UK, we have a quite cold winter, and with aerogel, like between the two cells, is done in order to prevent thermal runaway from one cell to another. Just another thing, like we tested for 1000 hour with salt spray testing, and this can be installed as close as 500 meters from the coastline. Okay, and so that's really good if you have any kind of installation or works near the coast area, Brighton, Portsmouth, Bournemouth. And now I would like to go on the app. Is available in English, German, Italian, Spanish, and Portugal, and offers over-the-air firmware update. There are three modes for the AP Cube. Self-consumption mode, so store surplus during the day and manage the battery to discharge when usually in the night the solar power is not enough. Time of use, so you can set peak time and off peak time and like set it up in order to discharge and charge the battery. And backup mode, collect your critical load and use it as a backup in case of power outage. Coming soon, really soon, is going to be the EPMS. So is going to offer smart load control via smart breaker, dynamic pricing functionality, and flexible control options. So dynamic pricing functionality, we are testing that with Octopus and should be available in a few weeks. So it's really coming really quick. So that's more or less an overview of like you're gonna have the screen of the HMI and you can control everything like the water heater, air conditioner, EV chargers, lights, and everything with the smart management, which is also coming quite soon. Um, Another thing that we are really key to is provide support for our customers. So in our EP Cube University, you can find training courses. You can become a certified installers, and the EP Cube community when you can ask questions, spread knowledge, and share experience with other person that already work with the EP Cube. Um, the certification is needed because you get the credential during commissioning. So and then you can access to do the commissioning, and it's a half an hour course, really easy, which gives you all the information about the EP Cube. The tech support. So we have a global ticketing system, and we really are keen to uh, to support our customers. And for now, we've been really great. We really managed to support extremely quickly in the same day, in a couple of hours, every customer that had a problem on site. That's a success story of. You can find the videos online as well of an installation that was 1 year ago in a AP Cube in Hampshire, in the Kingdom, by our installer Energy Decision Ltd. So you can go and see all the business case and everything. It was really good. And since the last year, when we launched the product, we had a great number of installations, and the product has been a really great success. Now, I hope you enjoy my presentation and the overview about the AP Cube. I would like to leave to my colleague Roy, which can go a little bit more in detail on the and present you the Canadian Solar Design Tool. Roy, it's all
Okay,
yours.
thanks, Luca. Okay, if you just give me a second to take over the screens. Okay, within a few seconds, you should be seeing the screen that I'm sharing. I'm also going to hide my video while doing the presentation, so that gives you more space on the screen to view. Okay, I'm going to do a reasonably high-level overview of our design tool, and the. Oh, got a bit of feedback. Luca, are you able to turn off your microphone? I'm going to give a high-level overview of the design tool and talking a little bit about the EP Cube in the same process. You'll be able to get a login to the design tool. One thing which is probably one of the questions that's going to come up: what does it cost? There's no cost for the design tool. Once you've registered and logged in, this is the screen that you will be faced with. It has got a list of all your existing projects that you can look at, or you and at the top you've got the home page, a string tool, and the plant configurator. I'm going to talk about the string tool first, and the string tool is a very don't want to use the word basic, but it is a quick way to work out the string design for your inverters and the modules that you've got, and do the actual design taking into account all of the voltages, the currents, the MPPT inputs of your inverter, as well as the temperature fluctuations for your location. So in the string tool, you pop up with a list of the ones you've done before. We can select, we are going to do a new design. And this is a more text-based interface, where the plant configurator is more a graphics-based one. So what we're going to do is give the design a name. We're going to give it a description and a reference. So once we've done that, the important thing we need to do is give it a location. As most tools, you actually need to know where you are when the sun comes up and goes down, etc. So I'm based in Cambridge, so I'm just going to type in Cambridge in the UK. And as soon as you select the location, it'll pick up the minimum and the maximum temperatures you've got. You've also got the option of, depending on where you are, there may be additional metronome data that you can add into the system and select as required. The string design tool can design up to 3 separate strings on a single inverter, which is quite unique. The unique part is you can actually select different modules for each of the different strings. So if we've had a look at the roof, we can then type in or select the direction of that the panels are facing. So we can then just go through with the slider, and it's always an issue to remember exactly, is 0 degrees south, is it north, where does it actually start? So we've got a nice graphical interface here showing us exactly where the orientation of the strings are. We can actually select the slope of the roof as well. So once we've selected for our first string, we'll select the type of mounting we've got. In our case, the example I'm going to be using is a roof mount. What we've done is we've got all of the Canadian Solar modules preloaded. If you've got your own modules that you use, it's not excluded from this. You would just select custom module and then select or type in the information of the module that you're using. So we're going to be selecting a Canadian Solar module. I'm going to select one from the domestic range. And I'm going to say we've got a 450 watt module that we've selected. It works out the total power, etc., and it selected the temperature information from the data up above. If we've selected a second string, you can just select the second string. It automatically pulls across the same information of the modules. However, we can change that to a second set of modules as well. You might have something pre-existing that you want to keep and add some new ones in as well. We might have one sort of sort of southeast facing, the other one sort of southwest facing. We can select that. The roof slope might be different at that particular point where you've added the modules, and that information then pops up onto the screen. So here we've got the 2 different strings that we've got. We can add a third string as well, but for our example, I'm only going to show 2. From the list, we will select the inverter. So we first selected the PV fields, but now we're selecting the inverter. We've got the EP Cube single phase on here because that's the demonstration we're giving today. And then we've got various different options. As Luca mentioned earlier, it is an all-in-one solution, which ranges from 2.5 kilowatts all the way up to 7.3 kilowatts on the inverter side. That's determined by, firstly, the size of the batteries we've got, because they're half-C batteries. And secondly, the second point I wanted to mention is this is all software controlled. So we've got a single inverter that can do anywhere between 2.5 kilowatts and 7.3 kilowatts. So I'm going to select, let's say as an example, we're able to use the full 7.3 kilowatts. It's picked up all the information from here. The output information it's picked up as well, and it gives a list of all the grid standards that the inverter that we've selected. In our case, the EP Cube G98, G99, G100 compliant all selectable in the configuration. Just pop across to the next screen. It just tells us how many inverters it thinks we should use, what the the DC to AC ratio is, the kilowatts on the panels to the kilowatts of the inverter, and we just confirm that. And we can see a graphical representation of the two MPPT inputs. We will see we've got MPPT input 1 and 2, both of them high-powered inputs. And here at the top, it shows the two strings that the two sets of panels that we've installed. It shows us 10 out of 10, so there are 10 panels available on that field, and 10 of them are available to assign, and the same for the second one. It shows us we can go anywhere between 3 panels and 10 panels on that MPPT input, according to the data sheets of the panels that we've selected, as well as the inverter. So I'm going to say select 10 on PV field 0. We're going to select our second PV fields for the second MPPT input, and if we want to do a quicker a quicker calculation, we can actually then just click on the calculate button. It will then go and work out how many it needs to put on there for us. If we had a slightly more complex scenario where we're using this perhaps for a bigger inverter, it would then be a far handier tool to actually do. So we can select manually, or we can just let it calculate it itself on the number of strings that it needs. We can now see back up at the top over here, we have now assigned all of the 10 panels for both of the PV fields that we've defined. Let's go on to the next page. What we've got now is a bit of a summary of the simulation results. This is what we've selected, where we've selected it, the number of panels, the types of panels. So all of that information is shared on the summary. We're showing our production capability, our performance ratios, etc. And then if you just scroll a little bit further down, we have got the inverter that we selected and all the parameters that we've used in our configuration. You just click onto the next screen. Sorry, we can't click onto the next screen yet. Right at the top, we have got 2 blanked out tabs. One of them is the self-consumption mode, and one of them is the financial calculations. We haven't got either of them selected at the moment. So what we've done so far is select the modules. We've selected the inverter and we've connected them together. So if we want to add self-consumption into here, it is now available. And if we want to add the financial calculations in, it is now available to go. So we can now go to the next screen, which is self-consumption. And this is the point of the presentation where there's an awkward silence. It's just taking a short time to load up with the webinar software running as well in the background. Okay, so here we've got the self-consumption inputs. Now we've got several different ways of inputting the data for our self-consumption and for working out what it requires to do. The first thing is we can calculate it. If we're not sure what the consumption is, we can go and select on the left-hand side certain devices which are in the house. The house in the UK doesn't often have cooling. We may have a heat pump, an induction heater, a dryer. We typically don't have many houses with swimming pools. It's got lights and it's got other. We select the number of people in the house. What we would then do is select the type of lighting we've got, because that makes a significant difference. It's a residential home, and we could then calculate what it estimates the consumption to be. We've got several options over here. You might know what your total annual bill is. You might have your total annual bill broken up into different bands if you've got a smart meter. So I'm going to choose a more simple one at the moment. So I have my annual consumption not divided into bands. And that particular put, I'm going to say we're using 5,000 kilowatt hours a year. And just reload the graph. So it has now gone through and done all the calculations for the generation as well as the load that we are looking at. It has popped up when we have selected the EP Cube single phase units in the previous screen. And it is over here on the bottom left. It's a little bit small, but it actually shows us, it recommends a capacity of 8 kilowatt hours in the battery. We can look at the information on the graph. We can look at it by month. If you look in January, we have got sort of 47% goes into storage. If you start looking in sort of the middle of the year, a lot of it goes into storage, and the orange is exported to the grid. So we can actually then view by month. We can also have a look at the yearly averages, and we can say on average so much to the grid, so much self-consumption, and so much for storage. So it gives us a really nice overview of where the power is going annually as well as monthly. It has suggested an 8 kilowatt hour battery for us, but we have got the option of actually selecting how many batteries we require. As Luca mentioned, we've got the options of sort of 5, 10, 15, and 20 kilowatt hours. I selected the slightly older version of the inverter. So let's select 20 kilowatt hours on that one. And once we've done that, we can reload the graph and have all the information available to us. I'm just going to go to the financial. In the financial side of things, what we would then do is have as much information available as possible. The more information and the more detail we've got, the better the reports will be at the end of the day. First thing I'm going to do is select, we're working in pounds. I'm just going to make an assumption that we've got a sort of about £1,000 per kilowatt hour for installation. Oopsie, it's very cheap. £1,000 per kilowatt hour for the installation in total. We could have, let's say, £100 a year maintenance costs. We can see power degradation of the actual PV modules. We can put as much information, detailed information in there as possible. Sort of to the right of that, on the financing side, we've got a lot of options for inputting information about grants. There may or may not be grants available. Then sort of in the middle of the screen, we've got what are the tariffs that we're paying. Let's say we're paying 25p per kilowatt hour. Export prices. We could assume sort of a 3% increase in annual electricity price tariffs. Asked us if we've got a feed-in tariff. I'm not sure if many people are getting feed-in tariffs anymore, but those options are all in there for to be used in the calculations. If we've got a smart meter with a lot of different price bands, we can add those price bands in there. And once we've added as much detailed information in here as possible, we will then hit the calculate button. And it would run through and calculate all of the financial information that we require as well. Now, we've got an option of, I would suggest we don't use save as an option, but we use that as a mandatory field. Save the information. And to get the reports, we can either email them or create a PDF to be printed. Okay, so here is a detailed report that can be shared with the end customer once you've gone through it. It gives all the information we've seen on the various screens going forward. It's a very good tool for designing the strings, ensuring that the strings meet the parameters of the inverter, MPPT inputs. It'll give the performance of the system as well as the financial information required. Okay, let's just go back. Right, so we're finished now with the string tool that we've got. Second option we've got, and we've got about 15 minutes to run through this, is the plant configurator. Here we've got a more visual 3D design tool for the solar solution. Once it pops up on the plant configuration tool, it'll give you a list of all your existing projects. You can manage each one of the projects as they are now. I'm going to select a new project. Same as previously, it's going to ask you for a name of the project. It's going to ask you for a description of the project and a reference number as well. Those three are mandatory, but and then I'm going to choose a location in Cambridge again. Select off the drop-down list. So I've seen a couple of houses over here with nice roofs. This area over here has got some. You can see this area has got a lot of solar existing, so these guys are really into loading solar. I found a house over here that doesn't have existing solar, so let's work on that particular house. So I've selected that home. I'm just going to zoom in a bit more and create the project. Right. Okay. The menu structure of the system is in the top right corner, so we can see we're going to be placing the solar installation, and we're going to be working our way through all the way to the electrical design and inverters from left to right. So the first thing we're going to do is on the actual terrain itself is there is a tool which would help us sketch out the area where the solar is going to be installed. We've got a sketch tool where we can actually click on point to point to point to point. We've got some standard shapes which you can just drag onto the overview and then just move it around. I'm just going to select a rectangle for now. Sort of drag it on and say, oh, our solar's in that sort of area. What we can then do is move the elements unfortunately, it's not a complex roof, so I'm just going to select the four corners, and the job's done. We have got options of adding in additional areas that we can work with. Our example, quick and easy, it is a rectangular roof. The next thing we can do is, once we've placed it, is go to the next tab at the top, which is placing sort of obstructions and things casting shadows. Looks like there might be a chimney or so over there. What I'm going to do is then select a chimney, sort of drag it and drop it into that particular area. We've also got the, let's give it a second. We've also got the option of natural shadows, trees. Cambridge is not the most tropical of places, but let's put a palm tree in the front garden. Let's assume that's a palm tree, so there might be shadows cast by that onto that particular roof. We've also got a visualization tool at the bottom where we can look what happens with the shadows as we move the time, as we move the dates as well. We can actually visualize any possible problems going forward. So once we've placed the actual objects down, we can look at how it's going to be mounted. They've recently added in the option for trackers. I don't think in the domestic scope in what we're looking at today, trackers is an option, so we can look at some custom structures. We're going to say it's a roof mount. So we're going to do a roof mount, landscape, and let's select the modules that we are looking at. Again, I'm going to select one of the domestic ranges. Again, I'm going to select about a 450 watt panel. Gives the properties of the panel. The word prototype's not quite the best choice of word. It's system, I think. So we're creating the system. And now we've got a slope mounting on that we're going to select from. Sorry, just let me go back there. So just give me 1 second. Okay, we can now fit the panels. You select the field that we need to update. So if you just give me 1 second, yeah. So I'm just going to go back one step, select the panel, create the prototype. You can see we've now got the second one I've just now recreated. I have skipped one step, and that is why I'm running into problems. Sorry, I just need to go back one step. Okay, what I'm going to do, just for the sake of is just close this. And just go back in. And go back to this one. We've actually selected the roof. Just click on added the panels into it, and then we can start looking at the actual inverter information. We can then go and simulate the shading. And then we can start looking at the actual batteries, the inverter itself. You can look at the string design. We can go to next. And then go to the inverters. And we would select our EP cube. And again, we've got the various options of the EP cube. So we'll select that particular one, and then we do the calculations. But now this part over here is very similar to the string design tool, where we would go through and select the number of strings on the inverter. I'm going to select calculate. So it has gone and worked out 10 on the one string, 5 on the next string. We could do this manually as per the string design tool. And then we will go assign all fields. It has now gone and assigned those fields to the roof. And we can now click on the summary. We've got an option of exporting the 2D drawings and the single line diagrams. It has gone and generated all of that information for us. Now, on the reporting side of this, we do have a lot of different options, and I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible without losing any of the content. It's given us a basic report of the actual performance of the PV solution. We've also got the option of self-consumption and financial as well, which has now popped those in. I'm just going to go through this again very briefly because we covered this in the previous section. It's gone and shown us there. I'm going to again select, we are running, let's say 5,000 kilowatt hours. Reload the graph. So it's worked out our graph for us. On the financial side, again, I'm not going to speak about this because we did it in a little bit of detail earlier. The information is still more or less the same. We can then look at a bill of materials, and that bill of materials would be broken down as it's been set up in the system. It's picked up what it's needed. We are able to add in other costs, any other information that we would like in this proposal, we can add into there. Now, if you start looking at the commercial offer, this is where the actual tool comes in really, really handy. It's going to ask us information on the customer, and I'm just going to say test customer. We'll add in all the information on there with the postcodes, the tariffs, currency. Let's just go back to pounds. We are able to take snapshots of the shadow analysis, etc., as we're going through, and then we're able to upload those into the actual reports. We are able to give details of the installation. We can say PV plant, it's a residential surface type. So it's adding this information into the actual report at the end of the day. PV plant configuration. As an example, I'm going to say upload the data sheet for the inverter. And the inverter is a EP-Cube single phase. So for all of the information, we're able to add the data sheets in. I'm just going to call this an EP-Cube. You can upload those PDFs. We can also then start saying what is included in the quotation, what is not included in the quotation. We can have our standard terms and conditions uploaded as a PDF, and we can then have a look at our signature in. So then the last option we've got is save and export to PDF. Okay, so it's now generated a PDF for us. And here we can see we've just added in test customer. It's gone and selected the view that we had. In a very clear and simple way, it gives us information of the actual offer itself. Savings, we've got the costs. I didn't add any costs in, but any costs that we've added in the financial section, any grants, which would then take off from there. It gives a very nice overview of the where does the power go that we're generating. 46% of this particular example was going to the grid, 32% into storage, and 22% into self-consumption. We'd have a look over the year, how much would come from the grid, how much would come from PV. So we'd be 76% in our example would be coming from PV for self-generation. Divides it up into the month. The financial information that we'd be looking at, how much was the investment, all of that information would come through to here in a very nice and neat format. It would break down our savings into the annual savings by year. We can select how many years we want it to be depreciated over. nice overview of the actual solution. And again, where I mentioned everything which is included in our offer, everything which is not included in our offer, and the information that we got, and the signatures would be put into there. The data sheets that are selected, here's the EP Cube data sheet, which I said to be included into the actual commercial proposal as well. So if you selected more of those, they would all come through into the actual commercial offer PDFs to be sent through to the client. I just want to apologize for that brief hiccup in the middle of the presentation, but hopefully you've got a very good overview of the capability of the tool, what it can do from a quick design, as well as for a more detailed 3D design tool, and how well the reporting and financial proposal to the customer would be. Luca, I'll just say thanks and back over to you.
Thanks a lot, Roy. Thank you very much. Um, we'll just share my screen again. And thanks a lot. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really good, really comprehensive. So now I would like to thank everyone for your attention, for your time. And before going to the Q&A, I just wanted to point you out to our distributors in the United Kingdom. We have Bimbo Solar, HDM, Park Renewables, Powerland, and Solar Decisions. So you can find the AP Cube in those 5 distributors here. So then I will go to some Q&A. The first, we have some questions. The first question is the tool for free? Roy, can you answer this?
Yes, the tool is free. It is available to use. There are no restrictions on the actual the capability of the tool.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for this. And can we use the tools also for commercial?
Yes, we do run these webinars for both commercial and domestic. In the commercial field as well, where we've got multiple strings, where we use the sort of the 2 and the 3 string designs, that comes out really well in the commercial side.
Okay. And I have one last question. They ask what is the maximum capacity of the EP Cube?
Okay, EP Cube, as we anybody buying the EP Cube now will have a minimum capacity of 5 kilowatt hours. There, the inverter will be limited to a 2.5 kilowatt output, and the maximum capacity of the batteries is 20 kilowatt hours. Where there, the inverter will have a limit of 7.3 kilowatts.
Okay, lovely. Thanks a lot for this answer, Roy. And I see there are no more questions. You've been extremely clear on the design tool. So I would just then wish to all of you a lovely rest of your day. It's extremely sunny here in Buckinghamshire, and I hope it's the same in the other parts of England, of UK, in which you are. So thanks a lot for dedicating some time to today to our webinar, and I wish really to all of you a lovely rest of your day. And thanks a lot.